Hey friends, it's Latoya McBean Pompey. Welcome to McBean Immigration TV. The question in this video is, should you be worried if you interviewed for the green card with your spouse months ago, let's say 4 months ago, 6 months ago, but you still have not heard anything yet from the government? Should you be quivering right now? Or, should you just simply relax? That's what we're going to tackle in this video. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching this video. I am so delighted that it's 2020 and we get to continue the work that we're doing together through McBean Immigration TV and now with Smart Immigration Academy, which launched a couple of weeks ago, and it's going so terrific so far. And so for those of you who have signed up for the Academy, thank you for signing up. It's going to be a tremendous journey together. And friends, for those of you out there who are still on the fence about the Academy, just stay tuned for over the next few months for an announcement about when enrollment is going to open up again so that you can join us and see some of the good stuff that we're involved in and how it can benefit you and your family. Now, if you have not yet subscribed to McBean Immigration TV, also subscribe so that you can get my videos each week, and also hit the notification bell so that you will be the first to get notice of my videos each week. Now, this question actually came up during one of my live sessions in Smart Immigration Academy recently, and the question is simply, should you worry if you and your husband or wife go in for your green card interview and it's been months now and you have not heard anything? A lot of people are nervous about this whole immigration process. Let me just say that right off the bat. And they should be, because they see so many changes happening these days in Washington. And so they're thinking, well, this should be a slam dunk, right? My husband is a U.S. citizen and he has petitioned for me and I'm eligible for adjustment of status. I'm here in America and I came in right. I used a visa in my own name and entered lawfully, and it's a real marriage. It's bona fide. It's genuine. Yet you're still nervous. And so why? Why are you nervous? And that's what we're going to unpack, why you're nervous and should you be nervous and what's likely going on with the petition. So why are you nervous? You may be nervous because, as I mentioned, things are changing. Lots of stuff is happening on the policy level in Washington, D.C. You've been watching my videos. You see that the process is more complicated than ever, and there's a lot to learn. You may have also done it on your own, right? Which may cause you to be a little nervous because you're still learning the process and you're just thinking, well, maybe I missed something. Or if you worked with a lawyer, you may be thinking, well, was everything submitted that should have been submitted? And also, were we adequately prepared for our interview? And did we not answer the questions correctly during the interview? And so there could be so many reasons why you would be anxious right now. The other issue is that you may be thinking to yourself, well, this whole process is taking longer than it should have because, we know that case processing times have slowed down, but our file is a slam dunk. It really should not be one of those cases that is tied up in or caught up in this whole case processing time issue, right? Because we may have a child together. It's real. What's the issue? So we should have gone through a long time ago. We should have gotten through a long time ago. So friends, you may be nervous for all of those reasons. All these thoughts are going through your minds. Did I do it right? Blah, blah, blah. Did my attorney do it right? Did I answer all the questions correctly during the interview? So that's normal. I want to say to you that all of those thoughts are normal, first of all. Secondly, you need to understand that, yes, case processing may be the issue that's at play with your file, even though it should have been a slam dunk because you guys have all the right evidence, you have children together, or, you've been married for a long time now, and obviously you have tons of evidence of the bona fide nature of your marriage. So it should have gone through a long time ago, but it just did not. Why? Because case processing times may be slower at the field office that you're going through. So it could be that. But now let's go a little deeper here, because in some cases, none of those issues are really what's happening here. Why things may be a little slow in terms of you getting a response. So in the ordinary course of things, friends, you go in for this interview. You may or may not have your lawyer with you sitting in the background, right? But you go in for this interview. You've been prepped. You feel good about it. Relationship is real. Marriage is solid. You go in. You answer the basic questions about how you met, what your address is, the names of your spouse's parents, and just some basic questions, right, that they normally take people through. They will ask questions about the adjustment of status application. Do you want to change any response that you've given to the government on that I-45? They'll ask you to submit additional documents and this and that, things that you brought with you that day of the interview, such as updated W-2s, the most current tax return, right? And so you hand all of that in. It seems pretty normal. Things are going well. But then, friends, what if they asked you during that interview a question that really threw you off, right? A question such as, where is your husband's mom? Where is she living? And you may say, oh, she's living in Manila in the Philippines, and maybe your husband's mom is deceased. If something like that happened, friends, then I would say you definitely have a reason to be concerned, because that is a flag right there. That's a flag. How many of you know that if your spouse's parent is deceased, you should know that, right? You don't give a response like, oh, she's living in Manila. That's a flag. And when that happens, friends, that's a sign to the government that maybe this marriage isn't real. Maybe this marriage is not bona fide. And so they will probe a little deeper during that first interview. And if you found that that's what happened in your case, in which they were actually probing a little deeper than what you expected or that your attorney prepared you for, and maybe it's because the responses that you had been given were really off, right? Questions about your living arrangements. If the officer asked you, what's your address? And you give the address. Is that a house or is that an apartment? And you just mess that up. You say, oh, there's no apartment number or something crazy like that, when in fact there should be an apartment number because it's an apartment building. That address is, right? And so things like that do happen. It may sound absurd to you right now as I'm speaking this, but this happens all the time in these interviews. The no-brainer questions reveal that the marriage isn't authentic. And so if that's what occurred during your interview, here's what could be going on behind the scenes while you're waiting. They are gearing up to send you a Stokes notice, a notice or an interview notice. They want you to come back a second time for an interview, which will be a lengthier interview in which they will really probe and ask a ton of questions about your marriage. Because at that point, they're suspicious that your answers just doesn't make any sense. And so therefore, they have to call you back in to really probe deeper because the responses were really off. So if that happened, maybe that's what's going on behind the scenes. They are looking to send you that notice. But if nothing like that really happened during your interview, friends, and this is what I told the folks in Smart Immigration Academy, if none of those things did happen, you felt confident in your responses, everything was on point, you guys didn't really stumble over any no-brainer issues, then it's just a matter of case processing. That office is just moving slower than it should. They're backed up for whatever reason. And also, as you guys know, the government has this systematic policy of slowing things down, right? And making the process more difficult and lengthier. So it could be something like that that's going on at that field office, and that's it. And so if that is what's going on, then you have to just wait until they send you your approval, right? But generally speaking, if the interview went really well and you ask the officer the question, are you going to recommend this for approval? and the officer says, yes, actually, I'm going to recommend it for approval. Normally, they tell you, you're going to hear from us within another week or two. And normally, it goes by very quickly, meaning you get your green card in your hands very quickly, soon after that interview. So if everything went really well, that's normally how it goes, at least in my experience. I cannot speak for what other immigration lawyers and other people are experiencing in other jurisdictions, but in the jurisdiction where I practice primarily, which is New York, that's what I have seen the trend to be. Now, I don't want you to worry, but I want you to sit back now and think about the questions and the answers. Did your spouse stumble over something that was really a no-brainer, like your parent is deceased and your spouse said, oh, she's living in Manila? Was it something like that? If it was, then yeah, you most likely will get a Stokes interview notice. But if nothing like that came up and it's really solid, it was a good interview, then don't worry. Don't worry. You just wait it out until you hear back from them. So that's what I want to share in this short video. I hope it was helpful to you. If you guys have any experiences that you'd like to share about what you went through in terms of, how long it took you to get your green card after you went in for your marriage case, go ahead and shoot a comment below so that other people can be encouraged by your experience as well. I forgot to mention earlier, sign up for my emails if you're not yet on my email list. Each week I send out really good emails. And so get on my email list and stay plugged into everything that we're doing here in 2020. We have so many exciting things coming up, including Webinar Wednesdays. Friends, I forgot to mention earlier that Webinar Wednesday is starting this month, and this is January. So depending on when you're catching this video, we may have already started Webinar Wednesday. Sign up, look for these notices. Each week I will be posting notices about what's coming up on Webinar Wednesday. And during that time, we dive a little deeper into an issue such as how to prepare for your embassy interview, friends, so that you can get your immigrant visa or your family can get it. We'll also be talking about other practical things like how to prepare for your Stokes interview and some topics around adjustment of status and some other really good stuff that you guys need. So sign up for Webinar Wednesdays, and if you're a Smart Immigration Academy member, you will get a 40% discount on Webinar Wednesdays. So that's really a cool thing. Friends, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye-bye.